Welcome to Phoenix's Rising Academy. I am Coach T, and your blessings are in your ashes. Today's episode is called Deport. This is about tethers. This is about parasitic attachments. This is about reclaiming your space. And I want to say a trigger warning for spiritual warfare themes, trauma, stalking references, and nervous system distress. Now, let's go. Before I get into this, I want to let you guys know that From Sealed to Healed is set for March 14th at 10 a.m. Only $97. You will receive a free workbook, the replay, and 3 people will get a month worth of one-on-one coaching from me, Coach T. What you will get to learn is about the patterns of cluster, who, what, when, where, why, and how cluster bees um, do what they do. And then in the second part, you will look at you. And I will give you tools to excavate back down to your authentic self and feel comfortable living from a space of authenticity. All right. So again, it's only $97. Could easily be 2,700 for just 2 uh, hours on Google Meet. But I want to make this as affordable to reach as many people as I possibly can. So if you are ready to invest in yourself, because you got to plant a seed in yourself. So if you're ready to invest, then hit the link in the description and sign up. All right. I love ya. What I mean when I say deport. When I say deport, I mean this. You do not get to live in my energy. You do not get to feed on my body. You do not get to camp in my mind. You do not get to use my life force while I am rebuilding. Deport is a boundary word. It is an eviction word. It is a decision. Some people explain this in spiritual terms. Some people explain it in psychological terms. Either way, the core is the same. If someone or something keeps trying to drain you, destabilize you, or confuse you, you remove access. Why the first 3 chakras or chakras get targeted. I'm going to explain this in plain language as much as I possibly can. Whether you think in chakra language or nervous system language, the first 3 centers represent the most basic human functions. Root chakra or Muladhara chakra relates to safety, housing, money, stability, the right to exist. Sacral chakra or Svadhisthana chakra relates to sexuality, attachment, creativity, pleasure, and connection. Solar plexus chakra or Manipura chakra relates to confidence, decision, decision making, boundaries, personal power, and self respect. If someone wants to control you, they go for what keeps you alive and moving. They go after safety. They go after desire. They go after confidence. That looks like fear spikes, financial pressure, homelessness, shame attacks, sexual energy distortion, creative shutdown, second guessing yourself, feeling pulled to respond. This is why you can be doing well and then suddenly feel heavy, foggy, or even agitated. Why they try to block your crown, third eye, and voice. Again, let's get plain language. Crown and third eye chakras. So, crown, Sahasrara chakra. Um, Third eye, Agnya, okay? Pineal gland. These represent clarity, insight, meaning, discernment, and direction. When you feel clear, you do not comply. When you feel clear, you leave. When you feel clear, you see patterns. When you feel clear, you document. When you feel clear, you do not fail or fall for guilt trips. So the attack is often aimed at confusion, doubt, insomnia, mental noise, spiritual numbness, false agency, and I cannot think. The throat and voice chakras is the Vishuddhi chakra. Okay? It represents self expression, truth telling, reporting, asking for help, naming abuse. If your voice is stable, you speak. If you speak, you create consequences. If you create consequences, predators lose access because your words do not return unto you void. I've said this since the beginning of me starting this channel. My words do not return unto me void. And because if you don't have the confidence in what you're speaking, then the universe is going to be confused because it's taking direction from you, Phoenix. And this is a little sidebar here. It's taking direction from you. So that's why I've told you guys in the silence, to yourself, to you, the universe, and the Most High, and your ancestors and your bloodlines with an S. You are the curse breaker. So when you speak it into existence, when you vibrate it into existence, when you sing it into existence, it has to manifest. Now, our enemies are going to try and are going to block it for as long as they possibly can. I had to take the try out because from my personal experience, it is I had something that was coming to me that was so glorious and they blocked it. They did not take it because they are not on that vibration. Okay, they're not on that vibration. I am over a lot of these witches and warlocks pay grade, but they don't want to let it through. So, uh, when you speak for every second that you have been in my energy, witch, warlock, succubi, incubi, name them by name. For every attack that you put on me, it multiplies back to thee times three, times three, times three, times three, times three to infinity, not just to thee in this instance, but whatever incarnation you come back as throughout you, not just for you, but your whole entire bloodlines until your bloodline is no longer in existence. Do you understand the power in that? Because you are naming your worth on a spiritual level. Okay? So they don't want consequences. As I said, if your voice is stable, you speak. If you speak, you create consequences. If you create consequences, predators lose access. You may not see it manifest outside of you or, happen to them, but it is happening. And they're going to try and block it because they're cowards. They can do, but they can't receive. Right? Where we phoenixes have had to receive, we've had that balance, that yes, I did this. Okay, I take it, I'll take responsibility for it. Da 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 da. When you are dealing with cluster B demons, they do not want to take responsibility for anything. They don't want you talking. I have had incels, and I mean, the fuglies on the uh underground tour websites talking about women and what they'd like to do to them and all that other kind of stuff, and these are women that they can't have, and I have had them do try and like kind of do like a puppet thing where I don't speak my truth, or they're trying to uh, force silence, basically, right? I've had it to where I've felt my throat being blocked, and I've had to say, no, remove that. You have no jurisdiction over me. Because it doesn't mean just because they don't have jurisdiction over you, Phoenix, that they are still not going to do it. Because why? These guys are in a psychosis. That's the end of it. That is, they're in a psychosis. Their reality is not our reality. And many of them have lost the ability to fake it, like fake normalcy. So they're always, and some of them are so thirsty and desperate to get somebody in their world. They know that they know enough to know that they got to hide what they are, but they still, um, get frustrated when they can't. So, make sure that when I say, "Hey," and it's redundant, when I say, "Okay, you've been in my energy field," right? Because I have people who are jump-ins and walk-ins, and they'll sit in my energy. They'll sit in my around me. They'll of course, they're a fragmented spirit, and it's not remote viewing. This person is astral projecting, and they're around me, and I can smell them, I can feel them, because you take yourself with you, literally. You are what you are, okay? From your core. So I know I'm aware of my body. I'm aware of how my body is working. I am aware of everything. So when somebody's sends a fragment piece of themselves, and I can all the toxicity, their health issues. There's somebody who comes into my energy regularly. She is deathly sick, and I think she blames me. It's not you know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to take responsibility, and of course you want to um blame the person who has nothing to do with you and doesn't even know you. Like, I've met people who are very familiar with me, but I don't know them. They say, you know what I mean? It's like they recognize me, but I don't know who they are. That's the difference, you know? So, but when I say, every second that you are in my energy, you are paying for squatting of the sum of my total monthly expenses times $100, 100% interest every second that you continue to violate me because you have broken and entered. There are consequences for that. And whatever I say in the spirit will manifest in the what? Physical. Okay. So I know I went off from there, but I wanted you guys to know it is real. And you have to have the confidence that you deserve it. Of course I deserve it. And that's why when you're dealing with cluster B personalities, and you've distanced yourself from them in the physical, but in the spiritual, they're still coming for you. Because again, they're in a psychosis. Their virtual reality has not stopped playing. You are still that character that they want you to be, and they're going to force you to play. You could be 10,000 miles away, and they're still, because they're focused on it, right? Whatever you think becomes a thing. That's right on any side. Okay. Whether it's negative or positive, it's right on any side. I have a succubi who I reversed whatever love spell. She would do these love domination spells on me, and I'd see this reptile, this crimson snake, right? Leviathan, python, demonic spirit of lust. And she was just obsessed with getting to me. I did not know her. She had actually a complete total family, complete with baby daddies and, you know, old marriage and stuff like this. Plus, found out that she was 5150, I mean, like, seems to be a pattern here. Diagnosable. She had been diagnosed. But I never talked to her. We were not friends. It would say little small things that was passing because she always made herself in my path. So, and I knew that she was targeting me. And because God was like, I was like, hey, what is it with this woman? And my guides were like, nope. And they showed me her in the spirit, and she was just this bull. There was this little girl, and then there was a guy and a bald guy. and then there was just nothing but haze. It was kind of like one of those peanuts that has um dust and dirt and all that kind of floating around them. That was her spirit. That was her energy. Because and then she really was up until 2 o'clock, and from 2 to 4 or 5 in the morning doing rituals, right? Which consisted of trying to transfer whatever health issues she had. So now she's sick, and I've been nowhere around this woman. I'm not doing anything to her. But when they get obsessed, when you get away and you say no, and then they try and punish you for saying no and being obedient to the Most High God. So they're trying to punish you for it, for what they've done, and then so why not punish them for what they've put you through unnecessarily? That you have validity, you have receipts. You didn't give the devil a foothold. You were just being yourself. Like in my situation, then I got another person who likes to again, with this transferring of every other people's disabilities and diseases and stuff, because when you deal with cluster B, again, it's real subtle, it's insidious, nobody else knows, but you can feel it. you know I had a thing, and this is just personal, but I had a thing where I was like, okay, I'm having my period, but as I was like, oh no, this is somebody else's. Because mine stops and now it's going again. No, and you would think that it would be something wrong, but it's not. It's this creature. And that's what they are, right? Because when you let them go, they don't want, and especially if they know, like, oh, I tried this woman. Oh God. Anyway, um, so make sure that your voice is not strangled, that you, and it's clearing your chakra. Good, at least just say hung, say Vishuddhi hum. And in your mind's eye, in your third eye, say, I remove all, because I actually had somebody who placed a noose, a Mexican guy placed a noose around my neck. And I saw that in the spirit, and he was doing some kind of ritual. So, like I said, sometimes being a seer, you know, can be scary. Because but then and I saw him, because God always allowed me to see who, because I'll ask, like, show me who these people are who are attacking me. Give me their face and a name, because I will take a picture of them. Video, I don't care. You already think I'm crazy, so let that be what it is, whatever for you. But I'm collecting evidence. So that's why we clear our chakra. So just bottom line. So okay, let's get back. So again, let me re-say this. So the throat and your voice, which is the Vishuddhi chakra, um uh, represent self-expression, truth telling, reporting, asking for help, naming abuse. If your voice is stable, you speak. If you speak, you create consequences. If you create consequences, predators lose access. Again, you do not have to see, all you need to do is feel that it is done, right? And sometimes you'll feel, because what they're doing is they're tethering themselves to your what? Svadhisthana chakra, because that's where all the creativity. They're also tethering themselves to the right side of your brain. This is literally a parasite. Coaster bees are parasites. They're demonic parasites. Okay? So strangling the voice often shows up as throat tightens, which is what happens with me when I'm around demonic entities that look human. Shutting down mid-sentence, yes. Fear of posting, fear of being misunderstood, fear of feeling watched, feeling like you cannot say what you really want. And this is just a few. This can be spiritual for you. It can also be trauma physiology. It can be both in your lived experience. What matters is what you do next with it. The tether problem. Tethers are not always dramatic. Some tethers are simple. A tether is anything that tries to stay connected to you after access should be over. Examples. A person you cut off who still pulls on your attention. Repeated intrusive thoughts about them. A compulsive urge to check, respond, explain, defend. A body flare up after a contact attempt. And now some of this can be just psychic too, where they're trying to tap into you. A crash after progress, right? Because they're mad. They're throwing temper tantrums. I said, when they can't get to you in the physical, they go after you with the same type of tactics, but in the spiritual, because they feel that you think that they're gone. Okay. My stance is direct. If the relationship is over, the tether does not get to stay. That is the point of deport. Deport is spiritual and practical. I do not teach only spiritual. I do not teach only practical. I teach both. Practical deport steps. Block and limit access. Stop reading or rereading messages. And these are just a few. Reduce exposure to triggering content. Tighten privacy settings. Keep a clean incident log if harassment is involved. With all the little gadgets that you can get on TikTok and Temu, that actually, some of them actually really do work, where you can hide a camera and record, you can do it. Protect sleep as a priority. Eat and hydrate even when you do not feel like it. Here's one thing that I was always, while I was going through this, at the initial, um, well, it wasn't even the beginnings, but when I was in the thick of it, and these attacks, I was being bombarded by all these attacks by all these different factions in California. And one thing that I was always told is to hydrate, right? Because I couldn't eat while I was under attack, while I was under stress. So I mean, I lost a lot of weight and gained a lot back. But I drank water. Like, I never, because they're pulling at your life force. They're pulling within water, there's life, right? If we are 90 something percent water, right? And we speak truth. This is again back to speaking your truth, naming your price, naming your worth. Right? If you don't where you're in the world, but you're not of it, because what is happening starts in the spiritual before it starts in the physical, before it can manifest in the physical. Dig it? Right? So they're draining, right? With just their presence takes the life out of everything, right? So if a flower has dew and right, that's moisture. It has, the bees get the nectar and all that stuff. That's moisture. And so when people like this pass by, what do? They dehydrate it. I mean, it's beyond dehydration. Like, a dehydrator will still keep the form, but when you're dealing with people with cluster V demonic entities, they're draining that bit. What they're draining you of the life force, and it's a very temporary thing because they're so hungry and thirsty. There's nothing left but ash. Okay, so you got to you got to do a lot of drinking water, especially if these guys, because they're using their energy to siphon your energy. Okay. All right. Anyway, move your body daily to discharge stress. All right. Like, just, you can do squats in your house. You could do high knees. That's what I do. I do high knees. I do squats. I walk with the babes. I'll just got a few disabled, fur babies. So we, go around in a circle, go around and just walk just as fast as I possibly can. One thing that I've noticed too is that sometimes you'll get these cluster B demonic entities that will attach to you, and they attach to your hips. They attach to your sacral bone, right? Because I mean, look up the sacral bone, look up why it's so important for the hips. And sometimes if they're disabled, you can tell because, I don't have COVID. And this person that keeps tapping into me and latching onto me, and she does a lot of this in the early morning hours. I mean, like, this true to name. She follows it, true to whatever. And I've had to, in my meditations, I can feel her being purged, but also I can feel when she's attached because I can feel something. My body will twitch, a muscle will twitch or do something. And then all of a sudden I'll start feeling sick. I'm like, okay, well, where, and because it'll go away as soon as I rebuke it, as soon as I do a mantra to clear it. So, and you guys know your own body. That's, if you don't, you need to get to know your own body. Okay. So move your body daily to discharge, hydrate, get medical support if symptoms are intense or new. All right. Because sometimes I've been in that situation for me personally. Now I did actually end up calling the 911 for the fire department because I was under astral attack. And this is the same person that tried to shoot me. I don't know whether it was with a real gun or a BB gun or a paintball gun, but she tried to shoot me one day while I was coming off work. And she was always, when I would be at work, she'd be there. She was just a stalker. And she would have other people stalk me, which was like bizarre. And other people would treat me like, oh, you did this to this. So it was weird because I had one, I guess he slept. He was there all night. You know what I mean? So they're hiring, and this was a gang. So this is how they're putting in work, is by stalking and harassing people on the behalf of members with a lot more status or cred in her case. Right. And this was the Norteños. So a part of that whole shithole craphead gang. So, yeah, she, was trying to create anxiety, and she did, and so I ended up calling, but not everything, they were like, "Well, your blood pressure, everything else is fine," you know? And I'm like, "Okay," and God was like, "Go ahead and call because I want you to see that this is witchcraft. This is not necessarily you." Right? And so, again, if we wanna go, just let me know in the comments if you guys want me to discuss this a little, go in a little deeper, with my experiences with, feelings, medical symptoms, but not actually having them, right? All right. A short Deport declaration that you can repeat. So get out a pen and paper and write this down and memorize it. I revoke access. I remove all tethers. You do not have permission to attach to my body, my mind, or my life. You are expelled from my energy and my home. I call my power pack now from the north, south, east, and west, from the earth, from the air, from the water, from the fire, and from the ether. I return what is not mine back to who it originated in. I keep what is mine, filtered, updated, and upgraded 888 nillion times, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, back into me, my family, my loved ones, my kin, and our bloodlines. Amen. Use your own wording if you want. The key is consistency. And here's the thing that I do. Once, like, I've had other prayers, warfare prayers that I have said since the beginning. My spiritual mom had a lot of warfare prayers that she would find, and there's actually a place online where you can download warfare prayers. And so I will say those warfare prayers, and I will change them based on my situation and who and what I'm dealing with, right? So, and you're allowed to do that, right? Because it's, God has to know. It's like, okay, well, what's, this person is like, yep, they're breaking and entering, and I demand restitution and times interest. I've been saying this. I've been saying this. And so, and what you'll find is that the more consistent you are, and that the more commanding and demanding and authoritative your voice becomes, the more next time, sometimes you'll start to get irritated. And it's because that disembodied, fragmented demonic spirit is irritated, right? Because they're coming in, and you don't, it's not your fault that you're not attracting them. They're attracted to you. That's it. Okay. So it's not your fault, but they become irritated. So you may start yawning. Like when I've cleared my chakras because it's been so deep, and what I do it long enough to try and get, because when you start feeling a spinning, that means that you've cleared out. It's like, okay, now we're unclogged, right? But it's like when you have a clogged fan, it doesn't it it's coming, all that dust and gook is all over it, right? So then you have to clean it out, and that's what your chakras. Your chakras are energy centers that need to be cleaned, and it's not just the seven; it's more than that. So that's why I would suggest you guys get into mantra, or if you want, we can also start having workshops on the beginning mantras for beginners. So I think that was it. Okay. Oh, all right. So, thank you guys. Thank you if you've stayed this long. Thank you so much. I pray that this really helps somebody, and that if you need to, share it with other people that you think may help. And if you do use something that I've said, please give me credit. Thank you for giving me credit, because I am so tired of hearing other people say verbatim what I've said on my own channel, and I'm being, shadow banned. And this person says it, and I'm it does it's especially with everything that I've gone through and everything that I have survived, the least that my listeners and my audience members could do is share, is like, is subscribe, is just try and get it out there so we can build a stronger community. Okay. So thank you ahead of time. From Sealed to Healed is on March 14th at 10 a.m. This workshop covers trauma education, recovery steps, and nervous system repair with practical strategies for boundaries and stability. So it is only $97. Only $97, Phoenixes. And it's 2 hours on Google Meet. So I chose Google Meet because we like to talk and I like to listen. And, especially, I wanna make sure uh, that I am addressing what is the most concerning for my clients. And so, with Google Meet, there's no time limit, unlike Zoom, and I'm not paying for Zoom because Zoom has too many glitches, and I don't care for it too much at all. But with Google Meet, you can still have that privacy. So it's 2 hours plus, and you get the workbook, you get access to the replay that I will email everybody. So make sure that all your information is up to date. And I will pick 3 phoenixes who attend for one-on-one sessions for a month with me, right? So it's like, one a week, one session a week. But and you can have somebody to talk to, or go through the workbook with, or get some explanation. Whatever it is that you want to do during that 45-minute session is on you. Okay. So, and make sure that you guys go to the link, sign up for my oh gosh, what is it? Email list. Also, you can sign up and register for From Sealed to Healed on in the description. And then I got some games. It's that you can test your education on cluster B personalities. I thought that was a cool thing. Okay, so from the ashes we rise, from the soul we lead. Thank you for joining me, Phoenixes, and this is Coach T. Again, subscribe and visit the links in the description, and I'll see you next episode. Love you. Bye.